The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
That's foul.
It's beyond foul. All the other wildlings for 100 leagues have disappeared. Craster's still here. Must be doing something right.
What happens to the boys?
Huh?
He marries his daughters. What does he do with his sons?
We have to take her with us when we leave.
What? I know it sounds a bit mad. No, it doesn't sound a bit mad. It's impossible. The Lord Commander
We
ordered
are
us
sworn to protect.
Sam, we can't take
Please, sir, please. I can still run if I have to.
her. It's just not possible.
I'm going to have a baby. If it's a boy,
It's a boy, what?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 Endgame Theories video. I have kind of a crazy tinfoil idea that I wanted to talk about today. It's not necessarily a theory or prediction of mine or anything like that, it's really just a thought I had that I wanted to discuss with all of you. Today I want to talk about Craster's sons. The common belief throughout the fandom is Craster's sons were turned into the White Walkers we see today, but I want to propose a different scenario. In the Game of Thrones television show, we meet Craster in the second season when Lord Commander Mormont leads the Night's Watch on a ranging party beyond the Wall. Even though Craster is a wildling, he is the closest thing the Night's Watch has to an ally beyond the Wall. He allows the Night's Watch to shack up at his fortified homestead known as Craster's Keep. During their stay, this is when we start to learn some unsavory things about Craster. He lives in his keep with his daughters and wives. Once his daughters are old enough, he marries them and then begins to impregnate them as often as possible, or so it seems. When Jon Snow is told this information, he begins to wonder what Craster does with his sons, and this eventually leads to a shocking discovery.
I saw it. I saw something take that job.
Whatever it was, I dare say you'll see it again.
Somehow Craster is able to survive beyond the Wall, not only in very harsh conditions, but also at the same time there have been some disturbing reports about the White Walkers. You see, at this point in the story, Mance Rayder is gathering up as many men as possible as he prepares to lead an assault on the Wall. The wildlings are desperately wanting to get south of the Wall before winter comes, but Craster doesn't seem to be worried at all. In fact, he's quite comfortable where he's at. Then we come to find out how that is even possible. One of Craster's daughters gives birth to a newborn baby boy, and this piques Jon Snow's curiosity because he knows Craster is doing something with his sons. In the middle of the night, Craster leaves his keep, and he heads out into the woods with the baby boy. Jon follows him into the woods, and this is when he discovers Craster has been sacrificing his sons to the White Walkers. To this day, we still don't know how Craster was able to negotiate this deal. The White Walkers appear to be leaving Craster and his daughters alone, as long as he keeps supplying them with his sons. But how the hell did Craster even pull this off? The White Walkers do speak a language in the books known as Scroth, but as far as we know, it's not a language any human can understand because it only sounds like ice cracking and breaking. The interesting thing is, this isn't the first time babies were sacrificed to the White Walkers. Based on the story Old Nan used to tell Bran, it seems the Night's King and Queen used to do something very similar to what Craster is doing today, and there could possibly be a connection between the two. The Night's King and Queen reigned for 13 years, at the Wall's oldest castle known as the Night Fort. The Black Gate leads to north of the Wall, which is most likely where the Night's King and Queen passed off their sacrifices to the White Walkers that were beyond the Wall. It could be possible that this practice of sacrificing to the White Walkers was passed down through generations. The wildlings seem to think the White Walkers steal their children, and there is a common phrase throughout the North known as, "the others take you." If this was a common practice that started to die out, that might explain why the White Walkers have returned. They were probably getting low on numbers, but now that Craster has been supplying them with newborn baby boys, that could explain why there are more frequent sightings of the White Walkers in the north. Some people speculate that Craster is a descendant of the original Night's King and Queen. People say that he has black blood, and he has a cold smell to him. If Craster has the blood of the White Walkers, that could explain why he has been sleeping with his daughters, as a way to keep the bloodline pure, kinda like what the Targaryens had done in the past. There are many different theories about who Craster could be, because some would think the White Walkers must have some kind of special interest in taking his baby specifically. Craster's father is also a bit of a mystery. All we really know is Craster's mother was a wildling, and his father was a man of the Night's Watch that was stationed at Castle Black, but his father's name is never mentioned. So you have to wonder who it could be. Some people say his father could be Bloodraven, and some people say his father could be Maester Aemon. Both of them did spend many years at Castle Black, so if one of these theories were true, that could mean Craster has Targaryen blood.
I'd have turned you all away if I wasn't a godly man. You are a godly man. I am. I got no fear of what's out there. When the white cold comes, your swords and cloaks and bloody fires won't help you. The only ones left will be those who are right with the gods. The real gods.
Some could also say that maybe Craster is a descendant of one of the Starks. The Starks have been known to man the wall for thousands of years, so perhaps Craster's father, who was in the Night's Watch, could have come from the Stark's bloodline. We also know that House Karstark is a branch of House Stark, and you can trace their descent from Karlon Stark, and through him, to the Starks and the First Men. Now what's kind of interesting is, if you rearrange some of the letters in Craster's name, you can almost spell the word Stark, but that might be too tinfoil-y for some of you. However, I would like to think Craster does come from a special bloodline because as far as we know, the White Walkers are exclusively taking his sons, when they could be taking the babies from pretty much anyone they came across in the north. Like I said earlier, this would not be the first time Stark children were sacrificed to the White Walkers, because as we all know, according to Old Nan, the original Night's King was a Stark of Winterfell, and he was doing the exact same thing as Craster. But what I really want to talk about is what are the White Walkers and the Night King actually doing with these babies? In Season 4, Episode 4, we see one of the White Walkers take Craster's son all the way to the lands of Always Winter. When he arrives with the baby, he places him on an altar made of ice, then steps in the Night King to perform the ceremony. The Night King picks up the baby, then he places a finger on his cheek, which changes the baby's eye color to a icy bright blue. The common belief is the babies are turned into White Walkers, and those are the White Walkers we see today. At least this is what we're led to believe, but how do we know it's true? We have never seen this entire process unfold. Do the babies immediately grow into adult-sized White Walkers with long, wispy white hair and wrinkled-looking faces? Or does this entire process take time? How do we know these babies aren't still in the far north, at the lands of Always Winter, until they're of age and proper size to begin fighting? What if these babies are still in training to one day take the Night King's place? Let's think about what Jon Snow said to Beric Dondarrion in Season 7.
Killed him. He turned them all.
You don't understand.
When Jon led the party beyond the wall to capture a white, they come across a small group of whites, led by a single White Walker. When Jon killed the White Walker, all of the whites that were under his command fell at the same time, which led Beric Dondarrion to thinking, if you kill the Night King, who is their leader, then you can kill them all. But Jon Snow did not automatically agree with this. Jon told Beric, "You do not understand," which leads me to believe Beric's theory might not be true. This could be foreshadowing the future of the White Walker's existence. What if killing the Night King doesn't stop them all? I mean, you have to keep in mind, Jon does know Craster's sons were being taken by the White Walkers, so maybe he has some suspicion that those babies are still out there somewhere, and only the old gods know what they have become. Maybe this is a part of the bittersweet ending. Jon and company could defeat the Night King and his army who came south of the wall, but what if there are still more White Walker babies in the lands of Always Winter? Craster allegedly had 99 sons, and we've only seen a handful of White Walkers, so there could very well be many more of them out there that we have not seen. Now imagine if the series ends like this. Jon and Daenerys defeat the Night King and the army he brought south of the Wall. Cersei is no longer on the Iron Throne, and Daenerys is able to have her baby. Then at the very end, we see Winterfell and some of the other castles being restored. That would more or less seem like a sweet ending, even if we did lose some of the other characters we like, but at least we would think most of the evil has been removed from Westeros. Until the very last scene, that's when we go inside the eyes of a raven that's flying beyond the wall, just kinda looking around as it goes further and further north, until it reaches the lands of Always Winter, and as the bird lands, it looks down and we see some of Craster's sons, who are now starting to grow into teenagers or adults. Then one of them looks up at the bird and scares it away, but those piercing blue eyes are the last thing we see before the camera fades to black. That would be pretty damn crazy if you ask me. That sweet ending would not last for long, because then we would know one day the people of Westeros will have to face another dangerous threat from the north. I know it might sound like a ridiculous idea, but it was just something I was thinking about yesterday, so I figured I would talk about it because I was wondering if any of you thought something like this was possible. Like I said, I'm not saying this is my new theory that I believe will happen at the end. I just wanted to toss around some different ideas that we usually don't talk about in the comment section. So let me know what you think. Put your thoughts or questions down below. Anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching the video. I really appreciate that. And I also want to thank all of you on Patreon for supporting my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.